How's it going, everybody? Welcome to TableTakes. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. I know we saw you last week, but it's good to see you this week. We're going to be talking about board game news today, as always. But first of all, we're going to check in with all of our wonderful hosts. So let's start with Bonsai. Bonsai, what you been up to this week?
Me and my partner both decided to kind of cut a lot of car usage out of our life, and we finally got ourselves a mini shopping cart. So now I can walk to the store. It takes a little bit longer, but at least now I don't have to carry a million bags, and it saves the environment. So who's
That's awesome. Is it motorized? Do you get to like ride in the back and it just like scoots
Oh
you
no, it's
around?
just a little tiny one. It's like one I could probably pack for Gen Con to hold all of my
Ooh,
swag later on.
that's
Just
smart. Maybe I
saying.
should get one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gen Con, Peter, what have you been up to this week?
Well, getting ready for Gen Con. It's like just a month away. So
Oh my
exciting.
gosh,
I know.
so
Now
soon.
that we're in July, we could say it's a month away because it's in the beginning of August. So I can't even explain what that means, getting ready for Gen Con. I just know I'm super busy getting ready for Gen Con. It's like being at Gen Con. I can't really explain what I do there. I just know I'm really busy. Also doing Actoroki. We're having our next film shoot next Wednesday night. That'll be so exciting. And I'm looking forward to running Star Trek Adventures after Table Takes today, 3:30. Stick around after the show and
Yeah,
watch us.
we're all looking forward to that. And
Yes.
of course, Noir Enigma. What have you been up to, bud?
Well, I heard that somebody was trying to save the planet, so I've just been outside with aerosol spray cans, just doing my part to bring balance back to the world.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, I've just been prepping for Gen Con. We just announced all of the guests for our morning ritual live panel. We've got Latia Bryant, who is a writer on called Nether Deep and a good high school friend of mine. Omnis X, who's another good friend of mine. Katie Osiris, Brito, and Darby Pack of the Translator. Oh, nope, sorry, the TTRPG channel. So yeah, I'm just super excited to do another live show. And I'll also be doing a live game with Cobalt Press at Gen Con. So this is my
Wow.
first time playing D&D live.
Ooh,
Oh,
busy, busy,
really?
busy.
Yeah.
Well, that's so exciting. We're so excited for you, Noir. Good luck with all of
Hey.
that. We're gonna see you in a month. Um,
Ooh.
so
What?
I am on vacation right now, as you could probably tell from my floral flamingo romper. I was actually at the Flamingo last night seeing Drag Race live. It was awesome. But I also picked up on some very important knowledge, and I'm actually here to share it with all of you today. I know we're supposed to do board game news, but this is really important. Oreo cakesters are a lie. Nabisco has lied to us. When I had these when I was a kid, these were the best thing I'd ever tasted. These are just whoopie pies. Whoopie pies already exist. They're just selling us a thing that already exists and calling it something else. Don't buy Nabisco. Anyway, welcome
Didn't
to
agree to take this stance.
welcome to the news portion of our episode where we talk about the news and all of the headlines in the board gaming industry. We have a very cool interview coming up later after all of this. We're going to interview with Big Bad Con's Sean Nittner.
Yes.
So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. That's going to be very exciting. And just that's coming after all of this, but we've got some more board game news to share with you. So let's start with some very exciting news. A little bit more information has come out about the Root expansions that are on the way. As you know, there are three expansions coming out. There's one to add on a little bit of extra gameplay for hirelings, for the Root factions. We also got the Root factions, the added on new characters that you get to play. And what we got new information on recently, coming to us from Dicebreaker, we have the Clockwork expansion, an expansion to the Clockwork AI factions. And I bet you didn't know you could play Root cooperatively. You can play solo, but you can also share a common goal, a common enemy, and fight against them. The second Clockwork expansion will contain 4 new unique factions for players to challenge, all of which have already previously been part of the Riverfolk expansion or the Underworld expansion. So what they did with the first Clockwork expansion, if you haven't already seen this, is that they used all of the base game characters and made them clockwork. So now you have like robots, mechanical, sort of cyberpunky factions to fight against in the woods. Well, now you have even more to play against. We've got the logical lizards. We've got the Riverfolk expansion that added in the badgers, I believe, or the beavers. I'm not sure which. We've also got the otters, and of course, one other faction here. So these automated versions make up the remaining enemy factions in the Clockwork expansion 2. It was actually created by Benjamin Schmaus, the creator of the original Clockwork expansion. So Leader Games, very exciting new expansion coming soon. A lot of people are really excited for this. And we should also take a look at some of the other Root themed games like Arcs. That's actually still on Kickstarter right now, the 4th game in the Root title series, if you're really interested in more Root stuff. All right, well, we have another headline coming to us from Noir with a slightly more sinister twist on it. What do you say, Noir?
Hey, so Vampire the Masquerade has Vampire the Masquerade Nexus enters early access. I can get my mouth to work. Sources our source for this comes from Dicebreaker by way of Matt Jarvis. So Vampire the Masquerade has Nexus support, which is essentially a D&D Beyond type compendium for Vampire the Masquerade. So if you want, you can have all of your source books in one location, very much similar to D&D Beyond. And on top of that, it also offers options to allow players to find role-playing groups among themselves using the same systems that they are. So if you want to have a Pathfinder group, Nexus has that option, as well as a Vampire the Masquerade group now. So this is a really cool leap in accessibility for Vampire the Masquerade. And it's going to function very similar to the way that we're all used to, pretty much the same user interface, as Adam Branford is the mind behind D&D Beyond, and he's bringing that over to Nexus with Demiplane. So it's been interesting to watch Demiplane kind of grow. They've created a Nexus for Pathfinder, now Vampire the Masquerade, and we've seen just how powerful a tool D&D Beyond has been for making that game more accessible. So seeing that move over to different systems is really, really exciting stuff. So I can't wait to see how it's utilized and how many more people enter the world of VTM because of it.
I haven't actually gotten a chance to play Vampire the Masquerade, so I hope that when we do see each other at Gen Con, we get a chance to get a little bit of a taste of it, because I know you're very passionate about it.
Oh my God, I love Vampire the Masquerade. Only been able to play twice, but it's been sweet every time. The core rule books that they're going to have available right now for the playtest is going to be the core rule book, and of course, Chicago by Night and Cults of the Blood Gods. So I'm really excited to jump in on this.
So somebody told me the vampire is getting a little long in the tooth. Is that fair?
Well, speaking of things that are long in the tooth, there is a very special dragon-focused board game that we all know and love called Clank, getting a spin-off game called Clank Catacombs. In this version, you're going to be up to some skeletal shenanigans because you're going to be creating a dungeon, a catacombs, but you're also creating that dungeon and robbing it. As in all Clank games, you're going to be playing a deck building game, going throughout the dungeon, trying to avoid a skeletal dragon that's been added to the game with a bunch of other very interesting mechanics, such as ghosts that are following you around and trying to possess you, or deal their necrotic energy damage to you and keep you from stealing from their catacombs or locking you inside for all of eternity. So you're going to be venturing into an underground crypt. And unlike the previous entries, there's not a set board to move your meeples around on. Instead, you're going to be gradually building the dungeon as you explore it. Very exciting. The dungeon map's going to be made of different tiles that you lay down as you move through, revealing the different obstacles and the potential treasures along the way. I played a lot of Clank. It's a very good game for people who are into the deck building, but maybe haven't explored a lot of the nuances around deck building. Plus, I never thought that you could combine deck building with exploration and like moving around. And these guys have made an awesome series. There are plenty of expansions already, and you might have even seen some of the other games that they've made, like Dune Imperium, that actually got the 2022 As Door for Best Expert Board Game, and I love that game as well. So if you're a fan of some really exciting, interesting mechanics, or if you just have played a lot of the other Clank games, want a little bit more of a deeper, darker kind of tone or theme to it, it's definitely one that you should check out because they've got a lot of new mechanics that they're adding in. Direwolf is the studio that's making this game, but they're also acquiring complete publishing rights to the series from Renegade Game Studios. So a lot of big moves coming from these folks. Have you guys ever played Clank before?
No, I'll be honest, I have not.
No.
It looks cool, but I have not. You
Well,
have
you
to
should
run
definitely.
a game for us when
Yeah.
we're hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we go to Gen Con.
Yeah, Clank is easy to pick up on. It's great for newcomers, but I can think of at least one other game that's great for newcomers, and I would love for Peter to tell us all about it.
Oh, well, maybe you're talking about Keyforge, although it's not a good game to get into right now because it's out of print.
Oh, no.
This is a game that came out in 2018. It's a Richard Garfield collectible card game, trading card game. Take a pick on what you like to call these things. So it had some. So in this game, there were 3 factions you could have in your cards, but in any given turn, you can only use one of the factions. Every deck was unique. It was one of the selling points of this game, and you try to collect amber either by mining it or stealing it from other players. And the game had a lot of hype when it came out. It was a very interesting game, but there were production problems associated with the game. And after about the 5th expansion in 2021, the game went out, basically stopped supporting the game. It was published by Fantasy Flight. Well, Christian Peterson, who was the founder of Fantasy Flight and ran Fantasy Flight as part of Asmodee after it was acquired by Asmodee, who left a couple of years ago, he has announced a deal through one of his new companies to acquire the rights of Keyforge from Asmodee and potentially with the intention of relaunching the game sometime down the road. So there's no launch date or anything like that. But if you are a Keyforge fan, then this is a good bellwether sign that perhaps Keyforge will be back. He started a studio called Ghost Galaxy that is going to be working on Keyforge. And Richard Garfield has given his endorsement of the effort. And some of the original people that worked on it are apparently involved in it. And we'll see what happens. This article was reported by Milton Grip of ICV2. Thank you.
I have so many decks of Keyforge just hiding in the bottom drawer of my bookshelf, and it's good to know that I'm actually going to be able to continue using them if more stuff is going to come out. Because I'm sure you already mentioned this, Peter, but like the fact that the decks are already pre-made and you can just buy them up. You can't mix them up together or anything like that. So it's good that I can have a chance to like play against some newer decks and see how they match up against the older ones.
Yeah. That sounds great.
It's gonna be cool because I think one of my friends got really into it and he was about to buy us a bunch of decks to start playing Keyforge, and then they like out of nowhere is like, sorry, which happens. I get it. It was in the middle of the pandemic. As it's still going on. And I just excited. Maybe he'll be like, yes, bury out all my decks in time to play.
It's so exciting. Well, thank you, Peter, for that
Yeah.
exciting bit of news about a new thing. But we also have some more news about another new thing, bonsai. Why don't you tell us about it?
Here, let me take you all under my Wingspan Asia expansion. That is, Stonemaier Games just announced this week that the new Wingspan expansion is currently in production. Wingspan Asia, it's set to release in Q4 of 2022. There's no real details about it now. In the meanwhile, we're just going to kind of like guess of what the kind of things, at least for me personally, I would love to see what kind of birds they chose for Wingspan Asia, because a lot of the Asian birds and migrated birds between Asia and Pacific Islands, unfortunately, because of a lot of trades and such, invasive species come in and wiped out a lot of bird populations. So I would actually be interested to see what they would be like featuring, or if they're going to feature any extinct animals as well. That would be really great. But the reason why I mentioned that is because in the meanwhile, for everyone who signs up to get notified once the pre-order page is launched, Stonemaier will be donating $1 to several charities that assist with birds in Asia. And let me tell you guys, it is actually a really big thing. A lot of the bird populations are actually dying due to climate change, environmental change, and invasive species. So yeah, read up about it. It's actually really, really great. And I can't wait to see all the pretty tropical birds. They're very colorful.
Well, Bonsai, I hope you didn't get too comfortable, because I want you to tell us about a second headline that you were very excited to tell us about.
Oh, yes. I don't know if you ever heard of this thing called Zine Quest. As you know, Kickstarter recently announced beginning of this year that Zine Quest would be moving into August. Now they just went ahead and said, actually, change of plans. We thought about it, and we're actually going to be, instead of it being in August, it's going to be moved back to February and its original date, where people, there was a little bit of backlash with this, and it looks like Zine Quest did hear what the community had to say, and they're like, you know what? I trust you, community. We're going to move it back into, what is it called? Zine Quest will be moved back into February. So look forward to it. Will still be happening this year on August 2020, to coincide with Gen Con. Sorry, I had to get my words in order. But starting 2023, the Zine Quest will be putting itself back in the original date of the February date. So lots of exciting things. Now, hopefully people can do a double whammy, because you got Gen Con Zine Quest, and then right over the next year, we got a rollover for the February Zine Quest. So are you ready for the double hitter, guys? Hopefully
I hope so. Zine Quest is amazing. I remember reporting on a bunch of that stuff with you guys last year, and oh my gosh, the amount of goblin content that comes out of Zine Quest is amazing. Because you know how much I love goblins. And there's
Goblins
so many,
are great.
yeah, and there's so many really cool like supplements for like D&D 5th edition or any of your other favorite systems. But speaking of RPG systems, we've got a very exciting announcement by Paramount that Peter wants to tell us about. Peter?
Yes, Paramount has optioned the movie rights to Alice is Missing. Alice is Missing is a tabletop RPG by Spencer Stark. It's a really excellent RPG. The premise of the game is that Alice is missing, and everybody, you play the different people that are connected to Alice in different ways. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could possibly be romantic partners. And you all communicate with each other using text messaging. So you're not together in the same room. And each player is released little bits of information that they can share with each other. And this leads to a conversation about what happened to Alice. And there's also randomization of what sort of person Alice is, so that can vary the game a bit from each time that you play it, and what those relationships are that she has or they have. And so there's a very immersive backstory. There are baked-in characters, and the game also has a fixed runtime of 90 minutes. And so there's a literal clock on the game. When 90 minutes are up, the game is over. And so Paramount has decided to option this movie. Now, optioning a movie doesn't mean that a movie is going to get made. It just means that they are saying, hey, we really want to make this movie. We want to tie up the rights so that we can go and develop the plan for the movie, line up partners for distribution and licensing and so forth like that, and with the confidence that they have the rights secured. But sometimes that doesn't work out and the movie doesn't actually get made. So, but this is a good sign. First we hope for, when it comes to our favorite properties and the idea of seeing them in film, the first thing to hope for is that they get optioned. The second thing to hope for is that the movie gets made. The third thing to hope for is that the movie is good. And then sometimes we hope for no sequels. But
Right.
so hopefully this happens. Hopefully the movie gets made. The movie is wonderful because it's a great role-playing game, and I think it'd be wonderful. I think it's always great when a property that started in our little community of tabletop RPGs, gets recognized by the bigger media, and media decides to do some sort of treatment, a movie or a TV series or something. That's great news, especially for the designers, people that put their hearts into these games. So it works.
Yeah.
Honestly, go ahead.
Oh, no, go. You first.
I was just gonna say it couldn't have happened to a better guy. Like Spencer, Spence is like one of the most creative people that I've ever had the opportunity to meet. If you ever check out his TikTok, he has really clever ideas of how you can like use everyday stuff for like maps. He like uses a projector on his table to create some really wild maps. He's just a really creative guy. You can see a lot of his work in Critical Role as he's the producer behind the show. And it's just one of the most sweet, humble dudes ever. I think I actually met him the first time at Gen Con. He's just a really nice guy. So I'm happy. Like it's always great when our community wins, but it's even better when like a really good person in the community gets a win.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I interrupt this heartfelt moment for theories. Okay, so I'm so sorry. I know I interrupt this, but this is a very heartfelt moment. It's like, oh, maybe I should have gone first because now my heart hurts while I'm coming in as crazy. So. I don't know if you know about the Alice is Missing, the tabletop RPG game, but it's supposed to be communicated via text or on Discord. You're not supposed to actually talk to one another. And so my theory is how they're going to do this. So it's more this is going to be taking place during the beginning of the pandemic. So they actually don't know why Alice is missing, or if she got COVID or if she's at the hospital, why can't we contact Alice? I feel like that's the plot of the story. It's going to be during the pandemic.
In which case, is she even missing? I mean, how would you know?
Or there's just no contact. We need to know. She doesn't have internet access. What's going on, Alice? So that's my theory. I'm sorry. Go back to the heartfelt moment. I'm going to put my tin hat away.
Speaking of board or role-playing games that have been adapted into movies, I think this is like a good opportunity for them to start exploring other RPGs that should be turned into movies. Like I hear this is really good Star Trek RPG that's out. They should make a movie out of that. I bet it would be pretty popular. I mean, seeing how many people all tune in for our RPG sessions.
Yeah, definitely. And there are probably some RPGs that should not be made into a movie, dogs in the vineyard, Gray Ranks.
Yeah. And we all saw the D&D movie.
That one shouldn't have been made into that movie.
Jeremy Irons was doing everything he could to make that work.
I know.
Right. Well, hopefully we can find this lost Alice. But speaking of lost things, we've got one more headline. I believe it is the Fading Suns Lost Worlds Kickstarter. It's coming out on Wednesday, July 6th. So if you're a fan of the Lost Worlds franchise, keep your eyes open for that. I don't know if you guys know anything about that system, but it looks really interesting. I was looking at the wiki earlier. Apparently, it's like worlds that are sort of beyond the borders, cut off long ago from the empire, whatever that is, and the solace of the universal church. So I guess it has something to do with like a church that exists in the world that they created. It seems pretty cool.
The Battle Brothers. Like there's a whole thing of lore.
Oh, really?
With Fading Suns.
Oh, please tell me more.
I'm not gonna nerd out as hard as I want to. I will say that Fading Suns does have long lore. It's made by the Ulysses Group, which I believe is don't quote me on this, a Swedish company or Polish. I don't know. But it's an extraordinary game. I've only had a chance to play a couple of times, but I got to play Battle Brother, which is they're like these devout monks where they get a signature weapon, like it's either like a sword or a gun, and like their whole deal is like, we're going to worship God by punching people in the face as hard as we can.
So they're paladins.
I mean,
I feel like it's based off of real life events. I've heard people do that already.
It's really, Fading Suns is an extraordinarily fun game. I kind of compare it to like it's more like it's like Warhammer meets Star Trek in like the best way possible. If you have a chance, please give it a go. If you're even slightly, if you're even the slightest bit interested, give this Kickstarter a look. There's a lot there. I mean, if you like devout groups that just kick butt, you can't get any better than the Battle Brothers. They're like Jedi, but not punks.
Oh,
that's
I'm
right.
sold.
I'm coming for the light side of the force.
I mean, from that description, that makes me want to play it.
Oh, they're German. Thank you, Phantom.
All right, cool. Well, that is going to do it for all of our headlines for today. All right, well, that is going to bring us to the exciting bundle boss.
Yay!
Right. It's Peter.
I am the bundle boss today. Where's my hat? Aren't I supposed to have an interesting hat for this? Oh well, that's the way it goes. Okay, so today's bundle is GURPS, like GURPS Essentials, GURPS. I think I got this one because to be the bundle boss today because I was probably the only one saying nice things about GURPS during the pre-meeting. No, GURPS, you gotta respect GURPS, man. This is GURPS is the generic universal role-playing system. Probably the most controversial part of GURPS is the name. Some people love it, some people hate it. But it was, by Steve Jackson Games. I don't remember what year. It was last century sometime. And it has the rules for doing any sort of RPG setting that you might possibly fathom can all be covered in this one role-playing system. What a breakthrough that was, and so on. But they're on the 4th edition now, and if you wanted to check out this this iconic game from the industry, early years of the industry, see how well it's holding up. Here's your chance to get a whole bunch of GURPS products for cheap, for $19.95. Well, first of all, you get the core books, of course. Now, these are all PDFs, so but they go out of their way to point out that they're non-DRM PDFs, which I think means there's no rights attached to the PDFs. They're your PDFs. You own them. Do whatever you want with them. Go in there and edit them if you want. So you also get all sorts of stuff like, let's see, characters and campaigns. You get the template toolkit for characters, adaptations, the How to Be a GURPS GM book, the GURPS GM screen. And if you pay the threshold price of $40.51, you also get the 4 E-Essentials bonus, 7 more supplements worth $109. The first group was worth $95. So add those together, you're up to $204. all for $40. So that includes high-tech weapons tables, ultra-tech weapons tables, biotech, low-tech, and mass combat. All those are separate supplements. Yeah. So, wow. Good chance to check out GURPS. Feeling it.
Thank you so much, Peter. And don't forget, all of you out there, if you do donate to any of these bundles, you can put in a little bit extra, because a lot of the proceeds go 10% of your payment after gateway fees are donated to Direct Relief, which is an organization supporting pandemic relief all around the world, not just in the United States, and providing lots of medical equipment, very essential work. Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing that with us. But that is going to bring us to dun, dun. The crowdfunder court. That's right. Court is now in session. The Royal Court of the Crowdfunder. And as you all know, should our audience decide that your crowdfunder does not meet the standard of royalty, you will be beheaded. So,
yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
This is just the way it is now.
This is the way it is. Not only will you be beheaded if your crowdfunder isn't accepted, you are required to bring a crowdfunder.
Yeah. Well,
that's rigged, man. That is rigged. But here I am,
on the chopping block.
Yes,
Peter.
What? The chopping? Your Honor. Your Honor. You no. I come humbly before this court. Okay, so I am going to promote a crowdfunder from the site GameFound, and it is a game called Brett Walda, which looks interesting to me. So, well, that's why I picked it. So this is an area control board game from Phalanx, and it is based on the Anglo-Saxon world, and you are a ruler of one of the multiple kingdoms in the Middle Ages of England. So you could be East Umbria or Northumbria or Mercia or Wessex, you know, all those places that you heard of when you were watching Vikings. Those are all the places that you can be, and you are vying for the title of Brett Walda, which was a term in those days to kind of represent like the Uber King, because each of these places had a king. But if you could like kind of get control of a bunch of the areas, you would be, well, we would say Brett Walda. That's what you would be, yeah. And basically that's to set kind of the tone for how the future history of England will move forward. So if you're a fan of English history, this might be really interesting for you. So while you play, you field soldiers, you fight Viking invaders, you collect taxes, and you spread Christianity. Okay, well, maybe this game's not for everyone, but if you like war games and are a medieval history geek, this looks worth checking out. It's it's on GameFound.
Excellent.
Watch the neck.
Are you a big Viking fan, Peter?
Sure. Like, yeah. I mean,
who wouldn't be?
I mean,
you have the look of a Nord yourself.
I do. Wow. Okay. Yeah. First time I've been accused of that. But you only see me when I'm sitting down. When I stand up, it blows the illusion altogether.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it's good that the camera only shows the shoulders up, so we'll just keep it that way. Well, that's what your new bundle boss hat will be. It'll be a Viking helmet.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Next, before the court, we have a presentation from Bonsai Baby.
Hello, the gentle folk of the court. I have from the lands of Indiegogo. I've brought to you a new zine-sized tabletop RPG by Vincent Baker, of course, maker of Apocalypse World and Dogs in the Vineyard. Apocalypse World, a lot of people, you might also know him as based off the apocalypse. That kind of little tidbit right there. Well, he came up with a new game called The Last Adventure. where you play as a great champion who finally died and who's ready to be welcomed in open arms with whatever beautiful Valhalla scene where your friends just sitting, like going up there like, hello, welcome, and have a beer, friend. We've been waiting for you. Well, if you were thinking that, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not that. You're just woken up like you were on a shipwreck on the shores of death. You have nobody there. You are by yourself. You have nothing on you. And you're confused because you were promised glory. You were promised great afterlife. And this is what you get. You get rocky pebble beach. So you take it upon yourself to reimagine or remember the memory of your sword and your shield, and you cross into the lands to figure out what the heck is going on. Why is the promised land not the promised land you were promised? This game is based on a dice pool version of Powered by the Apocalypse system. It moves with the style, but with the moves now styled as excursions instead of having skills. You have different emotional capabilities for exertion. For example, when you fight a monster, you have to channel your resolve to win the fight. Or when you're forced to leave the place of safety and comfort, you have to, when you're like, oh, I don't want to go out there, or I don't want to get out of bed, you have to be like, no, restlessness. I will channel restlessness to motivate myself to get out. But yeah, no, this is just a really awesome kind of new exploration of what if there really isn't any glory for your character after death, and you just go on a last adventure. This has 8 days left, and I think you all should go ahead and check it out. It looks really, really cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Bonsai. I got chills when you were describing that because I've never heard of that kind of theme for any kind of RPG. It looks like they were really creative when they were coming up with it. So I definitely want to check that out if I get a chance. All right. So finally, for our last Kickstarter, we have a very mysterious Kickstarter. It's shrouded in mystery. It's called Mystery Dice. You can get your own set of a mystery grab bag of dice for only $9. So basically what happens is you don't know what you're going to get. They don't even have pictures on the Kickstarter of what dice you're going to get. So you don't really have examples. All you know is they're going to be dice. And sometimes you can actually figure out like how many different sides of the dice you're going to get, depending on which bundle you decide to get. There are the 7 die sets, which are $9 each, which contain a D4, D6, D8, D10, a D%, a D12, and a D20 as usual. But the 11 die sets come with a D4, 4d6, 1d8, 1d10, 1d%, 1d12, and 2d20. The 3 extra d6s are great for all your fireball and backstabbery needs, while the extra d20 is perfect for advantage and disadvantage, but you can also get the weirder stuff. And you don't know what the weird stuff is going to be, but they do tell you 2 things. It'll technically count as dice, and they say it's going to be worth your money, but also they're going to be different from any weird stuff you've ever heard from this company before. They had a Kickstarter, a 1.0 before, so this is like their second one. They also have some daily puzzle challenges on the Kickstarter that they're updating every single day. So even if you don't want to buy the dice, you should just check in to see if you want to try to solve their puzzle. It's, right now they have a matchstick math problem that's they rated the difficulty as like about medium. So I'm pretty sure everybody here could get a chance and solve it if you just took a little bit more time. It's all dice related stuff. Oh, and of course, I don't want to forget, you can also add on the all new D2. That's right. It's a 2-sided die. Oh,
otherwise called a coin.
Yeah, I was about to be like, why?
Because it looks cool, and you never know what's going to happen. It's more fair. It's more fair than heads and tails.
I just can't help imagine that like some guy at Chessex didn't like, hey, I got an idea for how we can get rid of all the old inventory.
Well, I think this one has a lot more of flair and flamboyancy and exuberance, drama. It has a lot of drama to it. So I would definitely check this one out. You've only got 18 days left to check it out, so don't miss out. It ends July 20. Okay, well, enough with all of the shenanigans. Thank you to all of our crowdfunders today. It appears the crowd-funded crowd have deemed us all worthy to keep our heads on this day.
Oh.
Congratulations to
Whew.
everybody.
Thank goodness.
Good job to Noir. You dodged that bullet real easy.
The only way to win is not to play.
But now we get to the real fun part. We've got an interview with none other than the infamous Sean Nittner of Big Bad Con. Welcome, Sean. All right, give us 1 second while we get our our bearings and collect our interviewee guest. And looks like yes, hi,
Hello.
Sean,
welcome.
how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming.
Excellent. Yes. Oh, and now I see myself very smooth. Very, very nice transition there.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect.
You've given me this like honored center stage. Wow.
Yes.
I feel so special.
You are our honored guest for the evening. Would you please tell us why you're here and tell us all about the con?
Yeah. So I'm Sean Nittner. I'm the steward and president of Big Bad Con, and which I'm here because we are crowdfunding at the moment. It's an amazing event, and I wanted to. Peter invited me on to talk to you a little bit about the con. Let's see. This is going to sound familiar. It's 4 days of very good gaming, I would say, inspired by some of the greats like Gen Con here. It's a very play-focused con, and we have a huge focus on bringing folks from the intersection of various marginalized identities to the con in the forms of scholarships, as stretch goal guests, as with meet and greet events to connect people with the industry. In fact, that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of in last time we did it and this year. And it's just very play-focused. We got lots and lots of games. That's what we are about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that lots of conventions have lots of great gaming.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's de rigor, right?
Sure.
You know, but
baseline.
But certainly, it seems fair to say that with Big Bad Con, you've really made it a priority, perhaps more than any other convention, certainly more than any other convention I'm aware of, to put the topic of inclusivity front and center. You know, so is that fair to say? And is that because of you, Sean? Did you come up with this idea? I mean, how did this come to be? How did a convention decide to wrap their positioning, if you will, around this idea?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't necessarily how the con started. It's something we very much evolved to. I cannot claim the credit for it. There are a ton of amazing volunteer coordinators and ranger captains that have been instrumental in this. But I can say there was definitely tipping points. There's definitely points where we looked at our future trajectory and decided to make a change. One of the very early ones was one of our attendees reached out to me privately, and she said that she was she was coming out as trans, and she wanted to know if Big Bad Con would be a safe environment to do that in. This would be the first time she'd made a public appearance coming out. And I said, I think so, but we have several other trans attendees. Why don't you, let me see if I can connect you with a few of them. And they encouraged her to do so. And she came, and there was a contest that year, and she won it, and she was very welcomed. It was a fantastic experience. I was super delighted, but I realized that was a happy coincidence. That wasn't something we had really put our energy into. And that was a major turning point for me, is saying I don't want to put that up to chance ever again in the future. And so we've, since then, and myself and many of the other attendees, many of the other leadership have really focused on trying to make sure that the people of color, the people with disabilities, that women, that queer folks, all attending the con really feel welcome. And that comes in our leadership, that comes in our scholarship programs, that comes in the POC meet and greets. We try to, there's no single way to address that as a convention. And so we try to tackle it from lots of different sides. So yeah, it has become the defining priority. And 2019, Ajit George reached out to me and he said, we should have a POC dinner. And I was like, yeah, we should. And he's like, and we should have an industry meet and greet where folks in the industry can connect with new creators and artists. And I was like, yeah, we should. And we threw that together very quickly. And it was a huge success. Some careers changed, some lives changed from it. And so this year we're like, let's double down. And it's going to be 50% bigger than it was. We're bringing people from India, from the Philippines, from South America. I feel in a lot of ways like we're kind of punching above our weight in that one regard. Like you said, like other cons have more games and more events, but like in the regard of specifically like bringing folks to the con, I'm just really happy.
And not to monopolize the questioning here, but since you brought up the POC meet and greet, it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to invite a bunch of POCs and a bunch of not other people together and mingle. There was a system to it, kind of like, I don't know, like blind dating almost, or speed dating in a way, like where Aja worked with it, and I know because I was one of the companies that came, where Aja worked with each of the POCs that was there, who had to go there with the notion of, I'm a candidate for, I want work, I want to get more involved in the industry, etc. And the game companies that were there had to have a position open, and how he took this time, or somebody helping, maybe Whitney helped him, I'm not sure. Like they took the time to like match people up in a way that we're like, so when I arrived, I was given 3 names, like you are obligated to go find these 3 people and have a conversation with them. Wow. So I had a mission. Like that was amazing.
That's really freaking cool.
I'm so glad to hear you like that, Peter, because we're absolutely all about giving quests to people. We're like very happy about the idea of like, here is an alibi for good behavior, right? Like here is the like instruction, the person to connect you to. So I mean, it doesn't entirely break the ice, but I think it gets you started. Like, this person is interested in talking to you about this topic. And that was a huge effort by John Stavropoulos and Stephanie Nolman. They did the amazing calculus behind matching everybody's interests. And we're doing that again this year. And we're absolutely going to be asking everyone who attends to show their interest or their availability or both.
And there was like rules for us white people, like don't hang out with other white people. Don't want to catch you talking to other white people.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that.
Wow.
I mean, because white people are attending. I mean,
it's obvious why, right? But I mean, it's like sometimes you need to be told, like you're not there to go talk to your white friends.
Yeah,
go do this thing. Be a part of this and put your weight behind it. I was so inspired by that.
Yeah.
Well, and inspired by you for being the host of the type of convention that Ajit said, that's the convention I want to go to and do this, right?
Yeah. I feel extremely honored that he and the whole team. I mean, the team is now 10 people. They're all behind this, and we have powerhouses. I mean, there's Ajit and Whitney. There's Carlos Luna and Serena Marie. There's just a ton of folks, and then we have Indrani and Pam and Mario, who are in their respective regions and helping us to find candidates in their area. It's really grown, but yeah, I was also very honored when Ajit said, "Hey, I want to do this at your con. Let's make it happen."
Yeah.
So and there was great synergy because earlier in the year, Orion Black had started the Babylon Equity Project, and that helped. That raised $25,000 or something like that, and it helped us bring about 30 people. Helped us give financial aid to about 30 POCs attending the con, and so it was a great synergy. And this year we are going to private companies and asking for a lot of money. We're like, hey, kick down serious cash to make this happen. So it's gonna the program's gonna be even bigger.
Well, be sure to look me up.
What's that?
Look me up.
Yeah, you'll get a call. You'll get a call.
So I do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I was gonna say I am interested in the fact that this wasn't always the goal of this con, and it's kind of changed over time. Do you have any idea of where you would like to see this con change in the next 5 years or so, or in the near future? I know that's the question everybody gets that they hate, but where do you see yourself in the near future?
I love this question, Nora. I appreciate you asking. This is fantastic. So we have pivoted so far, in my opinion, we've pivoted 3 times, and I've got my sights on the next pivot. So the first thing, from the very beginning, even before I thought of this as inclusivity, I really wanted women and people from marginalized genders to feel more welcome at the con. Like a lot of our leadership at this point are. I mean, I know I'm sitting here. I'm the white dude as the face of the con. That's got to change. But I really wanted there to be more women attending the con, and then with that first, that was sort of the first attempt at inclusivity. And then the next one was really to make the con more queer friendly and to make it really a welcoming space for trans and non-binary folks, for folks all across the gender spectrum and sexuality spectrum, and just really like making it like an actively queer space, like a space where queer folks feel like not just that I'm welcome, but like I'm represented and I'm here and I'm like running my super queer games and doing all that. And then the third shift was really to shift the focus to be specifically trying to bring out more POCs. So like it hasn't been like super like, there's overlap and it's not like we've ever done one at the expense of the other. But my opinion, my thought has always been like, you can't just say like, we're welcome to everybody. Like that doesn't work. You have to reach out specifically and be like, no, I want you, please, you come to the con. Like, what games do you want to run? What things do you want to do? What events do you want to see? And so we've kind of pivoted that. And so my next pivot that I have in mind is really making the con that much more accessible. I really want folks with disabilities to feel welcome at the con, to feel like they can attend, to feel that they can have input and they can change it to really work for them. And I think in particular, making cons accessible is like a very broad spectrum. We have an accessibility consultant, and we like work with folks. And so there's physical disabilities, there's visible disabilities and invisible disabilities, and like, there's not like a one size fits all solution for that. So again, we're looking at like, what can we do? And so before I say like, yeah, we're the con that's all welcoming to folks with disabilities, like I want to be that now. But before I say like, that's our big banner, like I just want to build the infrastructure to make sure we're not just putting in the ramps and having ADA accessibility, but really broadly speaking, making the con accessible to folks with disabilities. So that's the future. That's the next pivot that I have in mind. So thank you for asking, because like I'm ready. I was ready for that one.
It really makes my heart sore to hear you say that, because that's a really big like issue for me, or I'd say it's an important issue for me. That kind of inclusivity, it's not seen everywhere all the time, and to know that's a focus for Big Bad Con is really, really good to hear. Bonza, did you have a question?
Oh yes, so I noticed that like one of the bigger things that a lot of people point when you talk about the Big Bad Con is about the scholarships, TOC scholarships.
Yes.
With that is like, for some folks, we know we have a lot of audiences watching in Brazil. We have a lot of people in the Philippines watching. Like, can you tell us more about what the scholarship includes, and also how do people like who want to like try and harden the industry, how do they connect with you from overseas? If that's one of the
absolutely.
things.
So there's really like 2 answers to this question. So there's a scholarship program that Big Bad Con has in place that is specifically available to any people at the intersection of any marginalized entity. So POCs are absolutely like welcome to attend, to apply, but it's also open to folks with marginalized genders and to queer folks as well. And that scholarship, you can go onto our website. The sign up form is going to be live on the 5th. So in 4 days, you can go to the page now. It just doesn't have a form to fill out yet, but you can apply for support to help cover your badge, to help cover your flight, to help cover your lodging, right? So all the big expenses of coming to the con, and that's open to, again, anybody from marginalized entities. And then we, in addition, have a POC programming track that is led by Ajit, but it's like, as I said, it's a huge team that is actively like seeking folks out and reaching out to folks to like get candidates that not just like want to attend the con, because that is absolutely, a plus, but also like are looking for industry connections, are looking for like doing work in the space. And so that team is reaching out. Like specifically, and the budget for that, because we have some private fundraising that we've done for that, the budget for that is significant enough that we're able to bring out folks internationally as well. So it's not like, I don't think I have a global solution yet. It's still just like trying to reach out in as many places as we can, and it's going to keep growing. So both of those sort of programs are in place. And like, to get to your, like the heart of the question, like how do you reach out? The scholarship application will be up again in 4 days, but even before then, go to the website, bigbadcon.com. There's a contact form right there, and you could just say, hey, I'm interested in this. Like even before the form is up, let us know. And specifically, if you're interested in, connecting with industry people, if you're interested in getting work, that's what we really hope to provide. Like, I want a fun con. I want people to have lots of good games, but I also like would love it if people walk away and say, I made this great connection, or maybe even like, I have a new freelance gig, or I have a new job, or, I'm going to put in an application here. So.
Well, Sean, we want to say thank you so much for coming on to our show with us. We really, really appreciated learning about the con, and I'm so excited for the next time I get a chance to go. But in the next 30 seconds, could you tell us your safety guidelines?
Yeah.
Or just some of the big ones?
So COVID, well, there's two different forms, but let's talk about COVID safety guidelines.
Sure.
It's going to be an all mask on event. So masks required in every location. We're going to require vaccinations, proof vaccination from all the attendees. We're going to ask that everybody take a at-home or PCR test before the con if they can. If they haven't done one, we'll have them available. We'll have Big Bad Con branded KN95s in case anyone forgets their mask. So we'll be ready there. So we know that like lots of people have different thresholds. But because we have a lot of immunocompromised people attending the con, we really want to make it as safe as possible. There's nothing that's ever safe, but we're doing everything we can to make it as safe as possible. So there's the short version.
Thank you so much for coming on our show, Sean. We've loved having you on. I hope you stick around for just a bit as we do our outro. But when you do come back again, I'm so excited to see you. Okay, so thank you to everyone for tuning in to TableTakes for today. We have a lot more show for you guys to see at 3:30. Coming up right after this, we've got TableTakes game night, and of course we will be playing Star Trek Adventures. That's going to be with Peter Atkinson as our loyal GM, as well as Bonsai Baby Javion, that's me, Noir Enigma, and Sarah Moore, the wonderful Sarah Moore, who is going to be at 5 p.m. Joining us for some joyful gaming at Sarah's table. That's right. GM Sarah Moore is going to be playing The Vanishing Lands with creator Jeff Moore and Marcus Mays, our lovely producer. I've always wanted to see Marcus play an RPG, or at least GM for him, but we'll get our own chance. I'll get to watch him later today at 5 p.m. And then, of course, we've also got every Sunday at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Nerd Botchery Adventures. We've got some D&D, we've got some cosplay, and of course, lots of Dwarven Forge. But for those of you who don't know our schedule, just a quick recap for you. Tune in Mondays at 4 p.m. for Board Games with the Brothers Murph, where they're going to be playing board games, as you can probably tell, chatting, hanging out, and being the brothers Nick and Mike. We've also got every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Out of Character with Mark Tassin, where Mark Tassin drops out of character with guests to talk about their art, their process, and the nerdy stuff that inspires them. On Wednesdays at 6 p.m., we've got Actoroki Series 3, and this week we've got the script reading, where you're going to see a very special guest appearance from a very well-known, I would say, maybe a recurring character.
Yeah, the best known.
Tune in for that on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
And that's Javion, by the way. He's being shy. That is Javion. He's promoting himself, but he didn't mention the name. Javion will be a quick, what do they call it? A quick cameo.
A cameo,
from Javion Smith in the next Actoroki movie. So
very excited for that. And of course, on Thursday, we got Blood on the Clock Tower at 10 a.m., where you can join us for a social deduction bluffing game for 5 to 20 players. We've also got at 4 p.m. on Thursdays, Roll Rem Alternus. Then you can join us right back here for more Table Takes Game Night and Sarah's Table. Thank you to all of our viewers. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts. You are always so wonderful. And of course, thank you so much, Sean, for joining us.
Definitely.
Thank you for having
We had
me.
so
This
much
was
fun.
great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Come back soon, okay? All right. So, for all of you out there watching, remember if you miss any of our programming, you can check out the VODs here on Twitch or on YouTube 24 hours later. And don't forget to follow us here on Twitch for more of the best 4 days in gaming, but all year long. All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you in a bit.